about their ministry, the work that they do in South Dakota, and we'll begin right at the far end. We'll begin with Linda to share a little bit of your story today.
Hey, good afternoon. I am Linda Schauer, and I'm the Stake Director for Concerned Women for America. And before I tell you a little bit about us, you might want to take out a pen and paper and write down an action item that I have for you if you care to do it. But Concerned Women for America is the nation's largest public policy women's organization. And we are conservative in our philosophy and biblical in our worldview. And we have 7 core issues that we focus on, and they are sanctity of life, religious liberty, education, sexual exploitation, the defense of the family, national sovereignty, and the support for Israel. And we have several areas of involvement. If you would like to get involved in our ministry, our focus of protecting the rights of the family through prayer and action. If you care to do that, stop by at my table and talk to me. Ask me about the Encourage a Legislator project, which Christy Fegan alluded to. That's been a popular one. Now, for that action item. I was in Washington, D.C. last week for our annual Concerned Women for America Leadership Conference. And one of the afternoons, we went to lobby on Capitol Hill. And we were seeking co-sponsors for a bill called the Standing with Moms Act. And what that act would do is require HHS to set up a website for women to learn more about the life issue. And those that were seeking abortion, we wanted to provide them resources and help. And this website would provide resources or directions to go to free OBGYN support, abortion reversal pill, how to get a hold of that, adoption services, legal services, food and nutrition, fetal development, anything that would pertain to pregnancy. It would give them what resources they would need. They would type in their zip code and it would relate to their services in their area. And South Dakota has this wonderful website called life.sd.gov. And it would provide the same thing as that, and only this is on a national scale. We went to Senator Thune's office. He is a co-sponsor of the bill. And we thanked him for doing that. We went to Senator Rounds, asking him to co-sponsor the bill. And we went to Dusty Johnson's office and asked him to co-sponsor it as well. The bill number in the Senate is S76, and it's this prime sponsor is Senator Rubio. And the sponsor in the House is Representative Diane Harshbarger, Harshbarger, Harshbarger. And that House bill does not have a number yet, but it's life.gov, or the Standing with Moms Act. So if you would like to contact their offices, in fact, right out the door are their representative Jennifer Heeb and Haley, and you can give your message to them that you would like them to co-sponsor the Standing with Moms Act. So we want more co-sponsors of it. And we're so thankful that our representatives in Washington are pro-life. So this bill should be a no-brainer to them. So thank you for doing that.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Adam Schwend. I am the Western Regional Director of State Affairs for Susan B. Anthony, Pro-Life America. I'm actually from your neighbor to the south. I live in Lincoln, Nebraska. If you know our organization, our used to be branded Susan B. Anthony list, we've been mostly a federal organization for a very, very long time. Something happened last year that made us think maybe we needed to get involved in the states a little bit more than we had been. So we built out a state team. I'm one of 3 state lobbyists. I handle all of the western states. The state policy in most all of the western states. I get to do all of the great work with Dale and Norman and Michael and the amazing in-state team that you guys have here. We don't set up chapters. We don't descend upon state legislators and say, this is the way you have to do it. We come in to try to give support to the states and the amazing work that the in-state champions are doing already. And you guys have a great, great team here. One of the challenges that we are seeing all over the states, and you've heard about it here, and I'm not going to stop talking about it because you need to hear it again, are the challenges that we're seeing in ballot measures, seeing the pro-abortion champions and the abortion industry trying to wipe out in one fell swoop, not just the gains that we've made over the last year, but the gains that we've made over the last 50 years. They intend to knock it all out. And John is absolutely right when he's come up in here and said, it's all on the line now. We're involved right now very heavily in Ohio. That's going to be actually the first time that we've put in a model. John talked a lot about Kansas, it talked a lot about Michigan. And the differences between that and what we're doing in Ohio and what we intend to do in South Dakota is the coming together in an all hands on deck, putting away any of the differences that we may have had in the movement and said, this isn't an existential threat to all of us. We are going to work on this together. And we're not going to come in and dive bomb $1 million for the last 3 weeks of a campaign. That's not enough. We need to be working from the beginning with strategy, partnering with national and local groups. And it's so easy to do because you guys have such amazing champions, is to say, I know John and Leslie. They're incredible. They got it handled. And you're half right. John and Leslie are incredible. But they don't have it handled. No human being could possibly handle this alone. They need you. We need you. And absolutely, they need you to do whatever you can to volunteer. Maybe you're scared and just absolutely cannot go out there and stand on the sidewalks, but they got a million other things that they could have you do. And one thing I'd like to challenge you on, friends, this isn't going to be something that we put together for $500,000. This is going to be a multi-million-dollar campaign, and they're probably still going to double us on the other side. And I would love to say, guys, don't worry, I got a $10 million check in my briefcase. I don't have that. I don't have, like the other side, Swiss bankers who can just send over checks. We don't have that on our side. We need to do this. And how can we do this? I don't know about you, but once or twice a week I go get a cup of coffee at the Scooters down the street from my house. And probably once a week I'll take my kids after Mass and we'll go get a donut. If I add that up, that's about, between all kind of the stuff that I would just do for fun, it's about $100 a week. In Nebraska, we got one of these coming too. And what we've said as a family is, we're going to put that stuff away. And I told my kids are young, got 5 of them, they're under 8. And we're doing this for the babies. And they understand. And if everybody in this room did that same sort of thing, we'd have $120,000. And if each one of you went back to your church and encouraged them to do the same sort of thing, this whole campaign would be paid for. So go to that website, go to Life Defense Fund, and think about making a monthly pledge. Because this is going to be really expensive, and we cannot, more than not being able to afford to make that sacrifice, we can't afford to lose this campaign. Thank you very much, everyone.
Well, thank you so much. I'm Michael Pauley, Executive Director of the South Dakota Catholic Conference. It's a pleasure to be with all of you this afternoon. And one of the privileges of my job is that I get to collaborate so closely with this whole group of people you see up here, with Linda and Adam and Norman and Dale and many others who were not up here on stage. And you know, we all have our different personalities, but if you ask me to just come up with a two-word description that applies aptly to everyone that you see up here, these would be the two words I would tell you: happy warriors. We've got happy warriors here in South Dakota, and we need more of them in the pro-life movement. You know, St. Paul writes, and I think it's in second letter to the Corinthians, that God loves a cheerful giver. And I think it's kind of fair to extrapolate from that God loves a happy warrior as well. You know, let's face it, in the pro-life movement, we know a lot of the issues that we have to deal with are grim. But that doesn't mean that we have to be grim. On the contrary, we have to be joyful. We need to show by the witness of the way we live our lives that there is a better way to live. So as we're working on these difficult issues, remember, you know, keep that smile on your face. Dale's especially good at that. In Pierre, even during the darkest days in Pierre, that smile stays on Dale's face. So anyway, the Catholic Conference, just quick background on my organization. The Catholic Conference was founded in 2017, and in a nutshell, we are the public policy voice of the Catholic bishops of South Dakota. So since our founding, we have advanced legislation to protect religious liberty, to protect children from the harms of gender ideology, to increase the choices that parents have for educating their children. We've fought against the expansion of gambling in our state. We've opposed marijuana legalization. We've fought to protect the rights of parents to be able to bring up their children in the way they want. So we're involved in a whole host of issues. We're not a single issue organization. But having said that, there is no doubt that the protection of preborn children is by far the most important issue on our agenda. And I actually this morning decided to go try to quantify that, and I looked at every single bill that we've taken a position on since the Catholic Conference started, and there's a total of 52 bills that we've worked on in the legislature, and over a third of them were specifically focused on pro-life and protecting the preborn child. Why? Because if we don't get that one right, then all of these other issues, important as they are, that are important for human flourishing, none of those issues ultimately matter if we don't get this one right. This one is foundational. And a couple of years ago, the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops came out with a statement that just very eloquently defended the fact that while we are not single issue, we say without any apology that abortion is our preeminent political priority. That's what the United States Catholic bishops said. This is our preeminent political priority because of simply the mathematical reality of the sheer number of lives that are lost as a result of this practice. So I'm happy to be partnering with all the folks up here on this. I'd encourage you to come visit our table in the back. We've got a lot of resources there, including some related to the abortion amendment that we're working against. And also, if you'd like to get our legislative updates during session, there's a sign-up sheet there. So hope to see some of you later on this afternoon. Thank you.
Well, hey everybody, my name is Norman Woods with the Family Heritage Alliance, a statewide public policy organization here in the state. So we're obviously all on the same page on life, so I want to kind of build onto that and go into the family values issues. So if you turn on the news, you open up your phone, you open up your laptop, everybody's fighting. Businesses want extra profit, politicians want power. I mean, you name it, somebody's out trying to get something, they're fighting for something. But in the middle of all that chaos, who's fighting for the family? Somebody needs to. And that's why we need to continue to stand up. What we do as an organization is help you do three things. Join a community where Christians are learning together about the controversial issues of the day. A platform where we can make our voice heard in the halls of government. and a place where we can come together to work to elect strong leaders who are going to represent us well. The best analogy recently of what we've seen is how many of you saw in the news recently, like Michael mentioned, the gender transition procedures and the different discussions at the legislature, that doctors could previously do those surgeries on kids or give them the injections. Right, without parents. Well, here in South Dakota, that's illegal now. And if you rewind, you'll see why. And it's the 3 steps I just mentioned. South Dakota was the first state to introduce that type of legislation. Representative Fred Deutsch, what did they say earlier? He's unable to recognize danger, I think they said. There we go. He first one to introduce him. We joined him. We hit the ground running. Afterwards, we score the legislators. We publish our voter guides and our scorecards to show who stood up, who didn't. For years, we keep posting blog posts, social media, web content, social media, you name it, bringing people together, in-person events, explaining what is actually going on, getting media coverage for the events, meeting with legislators, bringing other bills, keeping the issue in front. That community learning together. Making our voice heard in the halls of government. They heard from you over the years. They knew it was becoming an issue, and working to elect strong leaders. Again, they knew we were going to score it. They knew they were going to pay attention to it. They knew all the different groups, and therefore all the different voters were watching. Those 3 things were building together. So then you get to last summer, and we knew we wanted to try again. So we started the media campaign. We started reaching out again. We started reaching out to grassroots groups. Remember Chris David that was up here with the Life Defense Fund? She's also with another group who was planning a protest. We were planning a media blitz. We were planning a piece of legislation with Michael and others. So all these pieces are in the works. Again, those 3 pieces, learning together, making our voice heard, and electing strong leaders, have been working together behind the scenes, sometimes publicly, for a number of years. And then what do you see? Midwest Gender Identity Clinic announced. Perfect opportunity. We blow that up in the news. South Dakota, we're going to start exporting this? No. People were upset. Followed shortly by the protest. Again, spin that up in the media, making our voice heard. Legislators were noticing. We bus people to the Capitol. We launch it on the steps, that help not harm. You remember seeing all those people holding the signs on the Capitol steps? That's you. And legislators saw from the get-go, because the first time when Fred brought the bill, it was that weird idea that Fred had. Honestly, that's what everybody's posture was. But because we kept standing up, showing up, and speaking up, we turned it into an issue they didn't want to get wrong. And there was only 2 Republicans who were brazen enough to vote against it. Those are the kind of things we can continue to do on education choice, on parental rights, on religious liberty. So we're the Family Heritage Alliance. Those are some of the things we're working on. Come talk to me afterwards.